I've been threatened by cartel guys with better manners than my HOA president, and that's how you know this story's gonna be good. It started with a knock that didn't sound like a neighbor borrowing sugar. 3 hard, deliberate pounds on my front door, not frantic, not polite, the kind of knock that says we're not leaving. I remember glancing at my son's wheelchair parked by the entryway, then at the flicker of red and blue lights bouncing off my living room walls. I just stood there for a second, breathing slow, because I already knew who was behind it. Karen. She'd been circling for weeks. My son's motorized wheelchair, the one that lets him move around with some dignity, some independence, apparently offended her sense of community standards. Sidewalks, she said, were for pedestrians, not vehicles. And in her mind, that chair was a vehicle. I opened the door. 2 officers stood there. One young, stiff-backed, jaw tight like he was hoping for action, the other older, tired eyes, the look of a man who's responded to too many nonsense calls. Behind them, a few steps back, Karen stood with her arms folded and that tight little smile she wore when she thought she was winning. "Sir," the younger officer said, clipped and official, "we received a report about an unauthorized motorized device operating in a pedestrian zone." I blinked once. "You mean my son's wheelchair?" Karen jumped in before they could answer. "We have rules in this neighborhood," she said, syrup sweet. "It's a safety issue." A safety issue. I let the silence sit there. Let the absurdity breathe. Then I said, slow and even, "You're here because a disabled kid used his wheelchair on a sidewalk." The younger cop hesitated. The older one shifted his weight. Karen didn't blink. "He refuses to comply with HOA regulations," she snapped. "It's a violation. Now here's the thing about bullies, they think you'll react, yell, lose control. That's what they feed on." So I didn't. I reached into my pocket slow enough that both officers stiffened and pulled out a worn leather badge holder, flipped it open. FBI. I don't usually lead with that, but sometimes you let people see who they're actually dealing with. The energy shifted so fast you could almost hear it. The younger officer's posture cracked. The older one pressed his lips thin. Karen, she still didn't get it. "I don't see what that has to do with HOA policy," she scoffed. I ignored her. "You're responding to an HOA complaint," I said, "about a wheelchair." Silence. "Badge numbers," I added quietly. The younger cop flinched. The older one muttered, "We're done here. No apology. Just retreat." They walked back to the cruiser while Karen stood there stunned, asking, "Aren't you going to do something?" They didn't even look at her. I stepped closer, just enough so she had to tilt her chin up. "This is the last time you try something like this," I told her. But here's the thing. It wasn't. Because for Karen, this wasn't about sidewalks. It was about control. And she wasn't about to let it go. The next morning, I found a bright red violation notice taped to my door. "Unauthorized motor vehicle on HOA property, $250 fine." I almost laughed. A few days later, another fine, then another, $500, $750, obstruction of communal walkways. One of them claimed my son blocked the sidewalk on a day he wasn't even home. She wasn't hiding the discrimination anymore. She was weaponizing it. I didn't argue, didn't pay. I let her stack them up like dry kindling. Then she made her worst mistake. I saw her one Saturday going door to door with a clipboard, smiling like she was running for office. I followed at a distance. When my neighbor opened the door, she pitched it smooth as silk. "It's about safety, uniformity." She turned the clipboard so he could see it. A petition to ban motorized vehicles from HOA sidewalks. She was trying to outlaw my son's wheelchair. I felt something settle in my chest, not explosive rage. The colder kind, the kind that sharpens you. I stepped forward. She saw me, didn't stop. "Wheelchairs are technically vehicles," she said lightly. "And vehicles don't belong on pedestrian walkways." I smiled, small, calm. Then I lifted my phone, recording. Her voice, her words, her petition. Her expression flickered just for a second, and that was all I needed. I made sure the neighbors heard me when I said, "You're trying to ban a wheelchair." People started stepping out onto porches, watching. Karen glanced around, suddenly aware the spotlight wasn't flattering anymore. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just put the phone away and walked back home, because now it was my turn. Most people don't realize this, but HOAs are required to keep records, budgets, violation logs, financial disclosures. As a homeowner, I had the right to request them. So I did. Formal demand letter, cited state law, 5 business days. Day 6, silence. That's when I knew. I escalated. Filed a complaint with the state HOA regulatory board, subpoenaed financials, started tracing fines. And that's when the twist hit. Karen wasn't just petty. She was running a racket. Over 3 years, she had issued more than $300,000 in fraudulent fines, targeting elderly residents, single parents, disabled homeowners. Stack violations high enough people either paid or moved out. Then homes got sold quietly to associates at steep discounts. Money flowed through HOA accounts then into hers. And those police responses, not random. She had a connection inside the department pushing certain complaints to the top of the pile. She wasn't enforcing rules. She was farming people. I compiled everything. Transactions, emails, meeting minutes. Then I sent it to the HOA board, the state commission, a local reporter. The story broke fast. Neighbors started talking. Former homeowners came forward. Same pattern, different victims. Karen stopped smiling. She tried one last move, sent me a letter accusing me of defamation and harassment. Threatened legal action. I took it straight to my lawyer. That letter turned the whole case into retaliation against a whistleblower. Civil penalties, criminal exposure. Then I filed a lawsuit against her personally. Fraud, embezzlement, retaliation. She spiraled. Emergency HOA meeting, she skipped it. Then one morning she vanished. House empty, mail piling up, HOA accounts drained. She thought she could run. She couldn't. Financial fraud divisions don't care about suburban politics. They care about wire transfers. And she left breadcrumbs, sloppy ones. A hotel just across state lines, money-hopping accounts like a panicked rabbit. I made a call. She didn't even finish checking into the hotel before law enforcement met her in the lobby. I wasn't there for the arrest, but I was there for court. She walked in looking smaller. No clipboard, no smirk. Just a woman realizing power borrowed from intimidation doesn't hold up under real scrutiny. The judge ordered restitution, massive fines, criminal trial pending. She had to sell her house. And here's where karma gets poetic. I bought it, not because I needed it, because I wanted to send a message. Brick by brick, we tore it down. No dramatic explosion, just steady demolition, dust in the air, the sound of walls collapsing under machines. In its place, a wheelchair-accessible community park, wide paths, smooth concrete, benches, a small playground, a place built for the very people she tried to erase. I never spoke to her again. I don't know where she ended up, but I know she saw what replaced her house. And here's the lesson I didn't expect to learn. Power isn't about control, it's about responsibility. The law. It's not a weapon to swing at whoever annoys you. And when you try to twist rules to crush people weaker than you, eventually those rules snap back. Karen tried to make my son feel small. Instead, she built something bigger than herself. So here's what I want to know when someone abuses a little bit of power in your neighborhood, your workplace, your community. Do you let it slide for peace? Or do you fight knowing it might get ugly before it gets better? Was I justified in going as far as I did? Or did I cross a line turning her downfall into a statement? Drop your thoughts below. And if you've ever dealt with an HOA nightmare, a power-hungry neighbor, or someone who thought they were untouchable, tell me your story. Because sometimes justice doesn't knock politely. Sometimes it pounds on the door.